Beau wants to come on?
Yep.
Yeah, I
looking
gotta wait for
forward-
a superstar here.
We're looking forward to hear the man talk. We're waiting for
I
him.
know, no, be
I'm
great.
leaving the man, Beau.
That's right.
That I have.
Yeah.
You'll be done around 5, right?
Yeah, we'll be done by 5, you guys.
Good.
Okay. Okay.
Here comes, oh, guess who's joining us?
Beau?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hi, Kimberly.
Beau.
We got, Alice, Alicia,
I wanted to, Debbie, did I get Beau that I'm done?
Albert's joining in, Justin Riker. Okay, you
Wow.
guys.
Did I get Beau that I'm
great.
plunging it? Did I get Beau that I'm going in the water?
Boy,
this
Debbie
weekend?
got quite a party here.
We got a party going on.
Yeah.
Justin Prince.
Right in the
Justin
house.
Prince. Good, Stephanie.
Hi, Beau.
Hey, everyone. Oh,
I'm
boy,
gonna
what
spotlight you. How do you like that?
We're gonna miss you, Beau.
We're gonna miss you, Beau.
You gonna miss it, Beau.
We're gonna miss you, Beau.
Yeah.
A great beard.
Nice beard. Nice.
You
All right, you
yeah,
guys. So this is great. We got 31 people on this call, and I bet we're gonna have a couple others jump in. So I want to get started because we've got a lot to cover. We want to make sure that Beau answers all our questions, and I think he might have some questions for you guys too. So Kimberly,
Can hear them?
really awesome introduction, and I want you to hear every word of it. So I'm gonna put you guys on mute. What
Okay.
we're gonna do is, yeah, we're gonna do the intro. And then I have a couple of questions for Beau that you guys, some of you had contributed, some other questions. We'll go through those questions and then we'll open it up after that. And I'll ask you guys to raise your hands and we'll try to get to as many questions after that as we can. Does that sound good?
Hi, Debbie.
Yes, it
All right, hey Alicia, excellent. All right, let's
I
do it.
feel a lot better. Thank you for asking.
All right,
Good.
guys.
I'm glad you're better and you're here and you're able to join us.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, I am going to put everybody on mute. Share with me, and then I'm going to have Kimberly. Hold on. Okay. Whoops. Somebody jumped up in my chat. Okay, Kimberly, can.
Yeah.
Okay, there she is. So why don't you go ahead and introduce our very, very special guest here.
Okay. As you all know, Special Olympics Connecticut President and CEO Beau Doherty announced that he will retire on August 29th, 2022. Because of Beau's dedication to Special Olympics Connecticut for the past 36 years, we can all agree we have one of the best programs in the whole United States. I would even go as far to say in the world. I was 6 years old when my teacher at my elementary school asked my parents if I could participate in the first unified sports team they had just started. And 2 years later, I joined my local Special Olympics program. If it wasn't for Beau, who went to Eunice Kennedy Shriver with the idea
What's going on?
Brittany, please mute yourself, okay?
If it wasn't for Beau, who went to Eunice Kennedy Shriver with the idea of unified sports, all of us on this Zoom would not have the wonderful memories and friendships we have created because of Special Olympics. I hope Beau knows that the Special Olympics program has given us an opportunity to compete in many different types of sports. But more importantly, it has given us an opportunity to show our many abilities, both on and off the court. Our partners became our teammates, then our friends, then our coaches, and one day they could be our employer. Beau, we know how hard you work to spread the word about Special Olympics Connecticut, but you seem to always find the time to come to our competitions. We love seeing you and taking pictures with you. We want to thank you for everything you have done for us and hope you enjoy your time with your family, and have many happy travel adventures. To us, you will always be gold.
What's going on with the Zoom?
Excellent job. Brittany, I'm going to ask you to mute if you would, okay? That would be great. Thank you so much. Kimberly, excellent job.
I just want to
Thank
let you
you.
know.
Oh, we're all talking. Kimberly did a great introduction, and now we're going to ask Beau some questions, okay?
What's going on with the Zoom meeting because keeps on running disconnect me and then reconnect me. I don't know what's going on.
I'm not
You're
sure.
gonna
Well, if you get
answer what?
disconnected, just join us again, okay? Great. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Kimberly. That was great. We're going to hop in and
Okay.
start with some questions. So these first ones are questions that Brandon Knight wanted to ask Beau, and he couldn't be with us, but I'm sure he's going to watch the recording tomorrow. So we're going to ask his questions first. The first one he had for Beau is, looking back as the president of SOCT, what was your greatest accomplishment? So this is your greatest accomplishment as the president of Special Olympics Connecticut, Beau. Oh, and you need to unmute yourself there.
First of all, thank you, Kimberly. That was really very kind. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you being on. You folks are the reason why I got involved in this in the first place. And it's been a pretty awesome 40 years. And a few years prior to that, where, I've been in the field for quite a while. But so thank you, Kimberly, for that. As a president, I'm going to say that as president, CEO, it was the year 2019. If you looked at how many games we ran and how many people went to them, how many volunteers came to them, how many tournaments we ran, the qualifiers for those games, the amount of volunteers we had, the amount of unified youth tournaments that we did, the amount of screenings that we did in health, the amount of athlete leaders that we had at the time, and the amount of fingers I had in things outside of Connecticut in terms of trying to maneuver certain programmatic initiatives that were going to eventually end up in our state. And when you're around as long as I have, you do get connections around the world. So that year, if you look at all of that, that is the greatest year that Special Olympics Connecticut has ever had. And as the president, I'm smart enough to understand that, we had a great board, we have great volunteer leadership, we had great staff, and that's why we accomplished all that. But at the time I was the president, so it's hard to say that I didn't have something to do with that particular year. So that's how I would answer that one for Brandon.
Great. He also wanted to know, do you have any goals left to achieve before you retire?
Yes, I would like to not get fired before I retire. I think, there's a few extra months here that I have. And, once you announce a retirement, you really got to figure out, like, how can you move forward and help your staff understand things that they don't know about. Because I'll be quite frank, there are some things that I've done historically where I've had to keep staff out of it so that they could do their job effectively. I brought them in a little bit to know things, but I really didn't let them fully know about things. As an example, the people who run our interscholastic unified sports program in the schools, they've always reported to me. So they didn't report to any other staff. And so I've had to, like, between now and the time I leave, I have to help some staff understand that relationship better before I'm done.
Great answer, Beau. Thank you. So you talked about, and Brandon had asked you about what was your greatest accomplishment as president of Special Olympics, but what would you say your biggest accomplishment has been throughout your career with Special Olympics? Is that something different?
Very different, because early on, I was lucky enough as a program director before I became CEO to have a really great relationship with Eunice Kennedy Shriver and a lot of people around the country. And when I decided to do unified sports, or to, my deal with Massachusetts Special Olympics was I would not go with them full time unless I was able to do unified sports tournament and softball, and then bring that concept to Mr. Shriver. And, there's no doubt about the fact that for me, in the world of Special Olympics, and most people that know me, that's the pinnacle, because that program that I brought to her completely changed the face of the organization. Now it wasn't you guys just competing and practicing and being with each other all the time. It was, I got Mrs. Shriver to change it so that people without disabilities were on your team and with you. And I felt very strongly about that, because at one point I thought a lot of my friends here on the, were segregated and didn't have those opportunities with other people. And now there's, in 2019, there were 1.8 million people around the world in 180 countries doing unified sports. So I'll never achieve anything like that in my life again. But that is, I can go to my grave and I can leave Special Olympics knowing that that impact was important for people. In my early years, doing that was not easy. I got ridiculed and not everybody bought into it. So, but that would be the biggest achievement that I've ever done in Special Olympics.
Fantastic, I would say. Thank you very much, Beau. All right, a couple more questions, and then I saw some hands raised too, so we'll get to you guys, don't worry. All right, so what do you hope Special Olympics will accomplish in the future, Beau? What would you like to see it happen after you leave?
Well, to me, in the beginning days, it was about sports, with Mrs. Shriver, but it didn't turn into that. It was a little bit of a field day in my beginnings. So I think, getting it back to, at least some seriousness of sports, and changing course into a little bit of health and other things. But the one thing that I worry about now is that we were a lot more of a social program. Like the dances, a lot of athletes would rate the dances as important, or in some cases more important than the sports that happen on the weekend. I'm not saying that all of you feel that way, but we were a social animal. Athletes enjoyed Special Olympics, up to 2019, because you got together with other people, not just the people from your team, but people from other towns and cities. And, and I think the same thing with volunteers. It was a social piece. And I see people on phones all the time. I mean, maybe I'm old guard, but everything is technology and not person to person. And I don't believe that completely is a good thing. So my hope would be that Special Olympics moving ahead does figure out some social situations for all of you that meet your needs, to, not be sitting in your parents' house all the time, or in a residential program all the time, but get you out and talking to each other.
Great, I think everybody would agree with that that would be a wonderful thing. We are going to go back to when you were in school. Were there any sports that you played when you were in school? And if so, tell us about that experience. What was it like?
Well, I was from Dighton, Massachusetts, Taunton, and with a strong accent, and moved to Minnesota in high school. So we went out there, and I ended up in a huge high school with a lot of Norwegians and Swedes, and I was Irish, and there were no Irish in the school I was in. So I ended up in a situation where I was really different. And and I got into sports. And I think in high school, I did wrestling when I was in Minnesota, and I did football. And when I got to, and then later got into lacrosse and football. And then in college, ended up being in lacrosse and soccer, and ended up being a captain of both. And the point I would make is that had I not been on I wasn't the best player on any of these teams, but what I was is somebody who really tried hard. And for whatever reason, the bonding piece, like the social piece of being on a team, really meant a lot to me. And I will tell you that I would have never fought for unified sports had I not been this Irish kid, Irish American kid from a state where I had a bizarre accent, going to a school where I had to, be accepted. I had to get on a team and be accepted by people in the high school. And I learned from that, because when I finally worked at Dover State School, I saw a bunch of athletes, potential athletes, who were better bowlers than any non-disabled people I knew, were faster in sports than any people that I knew. And the big question was, could I get Special Olympics to change the way it was so that I could get these great bowlers who happen to be intellectually disabled on teams with non-disabled people? That was the whole experience for me in sports. If I had not done sports myself, I would never have gone that route.
Wow. Great. Thank you for sharing that, though. Let's keep going. Sticking with sports. What's your greatest sports memory? Could be anything.
Well, the biggest one was when I became the head coach at Dover State School. We had no tracks. We had nothing. Nothing. It was crazy. I did the practices the best I could. I had a 350 person team, and I went to my first event, Special Olympics event, which I had never been to. I didn't even know what Special Olympics was really. And I got off the bus and I saw an athlete who was on the fourth lap of a mile who had cerebral palsy and was intellectually disabled. And that athlete had a very difficult time doing that last lap. And that is completely what sold me. And it's also that memory, I draw that memory all the time. If I'm tired or whatever, I draw on that memory, and it gives me a little bit of fierceness on occasion to fight for you guys on some things. So that's to me the big memory that I have. And I've seen, Debbie, so many hundreds of thousands of things, but that always stands out to me.
Great, and motivates you and inspires you. That's awesome. That's really special. 2 more questions, and then we're going to have these guys take over. Next question. We're gearing up to that. Okay. Next question for you is, what was the most interesting country you visited during your Special Olympics career, and why? Wow.
So it was the country of Jordan, and it's right next to Israel. And they've had, and it's within really the Arab world. It's the Hashemite kingdom. And I was asked to go there by the international office to start Special Olympics. So I went to this country I knew nothing about. I had a month to get ready. And I went with a guy who ended up working in a big job for National Geographic. And he was the head of world stuff for Special Olympics. So he and I went. And our job was to work with the students of a college and to train them on how to work with athletes, and to do track and field. I'm not a track and field guy, but I knew enough about how to work with folks, and he was a big track guy. And between the two of us, we did that. But I will tell you, first of all, I worked with Prince Rod Al Hussein, who was the first cousin of the king, and I worked with Queen Noor. And so I was with queen and a prince.
Wow,
And-
royalty.
and people would crawl on the floor up to them and kiss
Wow.
their feet. Like it was like royalty, like you can't imagine. And so I saw that. I had food with the Bedouins, which are the Arabs of the desert. I ate camel.
Oh my.
Camel and sheep eyes and all sorts of and rice and whatever, and with a bunch of Bedouins. And then I went to this magical place. And I wish that the name would come to me, but I had to ride a camel into it. I was a lot lighter than.
What was that like, Beau? Would you do that again?
It took me a mile to go through these curves and like with cliffs on either side of me, and finally came out at these shrines that had been like in prominence around the Roman times, and it was like unbelievable looking. At any rate, you know, it was a different culture. You know, being around royalty, being with Bedouins in the desert, that was a completely. And Jordan has a great Special Olympics program now, so that was.
Thanks to you.
Now, it was thanks to them, but I, you know, had a lot to do with the beginnings of it, so that's a great thing.
Awesome. Great. Amazing. 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 The last question I have, and then, like I said, we'll let everybody else ask some questions. What advice would you give to our global messengers? Could be pretty much anything. What would you, kind of advice would you give them for the future? Kind of based on your experience.
Yeah, part of it is really building self-confidence in certain areas that you're not confident in. As an example, I was deathly afraid from speaking in public, like really bad. I would get up, I didn't want to do it. I never wanted to do it. I got up there, I remember, and I'd be shaking and I'd be like, you know, my heart would be going crazy. And, you know, it was really, really difficult. But there was no way that I would be ever able to do my job unless I got over that. So the more I did it, the better I got at it, and the more confident I became. And sometimes it's still a challenge, but you know, that would be an example of something that was a huge weakness to me that I had to overcome. And I think a part of being a leader, so to speak, if you want to be a leader, is looking at that part of you that's not really strong and working on that, but also is looking at the strengths that you do have that and using them. A lot, you know, what happens with a lot of people, I think, is a lot of people, like I may perceive myself a certain way. I may think I'm really strong in this and weak in that. And then I could ask, you know, Megan Cormick or Debbie as an example, or Rayshawn, what do you think are my strengths and weaknesses? And they may have very different viewpoint. So part of it, I would say, is like, find out from other people, not you, like where you're strong and where you're weak. That might be one thing I would work on. I think that helped me understand some stuff.
I think that's tremendous advice. Great. Yeah, people might have different perceptions. All right. Well, I think it's time to kind of open it up. I have a couple hands up, so we're going to go to those folks that have their hands up. I think the first.
I have to do it quickly before I go.
All right. Why don't you go first, since you do have to go early, Allie? Go ahead.
Okay. Beau, I know I wrote down some 5 questions, but if you want to answer 2, that'll be great.
Hi, Allie.
What made you get involved with WWE and Special Olympics together?
They called me up and said they wanted to do things with Special Olympics again. And they told me they did some things, they had changed some things that we did not like. And I asked my board about that. And what I told them is, I'm going to bring in some board members and you're going to explain to me some of the changes that you claim you're making. And when they explained the changes that they made, our board said, wow, that's really different. And then they decided to work with WWE again.
Let's see. Yeah, and the other one is, do you have a favorite WWE superstar?
Well, I'm gonna say, I really like John Cena, and the reason why I like him is that he and my nephew used to play football together at Springfield College.
Oh, wow.
So they were friends and they were workout partners. So I would go watch the games, and John was the center, and my nephew was the fullback of that team. So
Do you have time for a few more?
Allie, why don't we come back if we have some time, just so everybody gets a chance. Is that okay?
Okay, that's great.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Those were awesome questions. Let's go over to Robin. She's had her hand up for a while.
Hello, Mr. Beau. How are you?
Robin.
Yes, sir. So mine's more of a comment for you than question. I hope that's okay. But I don't know if you realize the very first time I met you was at Dream Ride. When was maybe 3 years ago. And I remember you coming up to me and saying, you look like you enjoy a good challenge. How about going down a 37-story building for us? And I thought you were crazy. I'll be honest, I thought you were crazy. Well, come 2 years later and 2 over the edges, I finally went down that building. But when I went down the building the second time, there was a woman standing down there talking to my mother. And that woman was Debbie Horn. And said to my mother, you need to convince her to go and apply to be a global messenger. And my mom's like, well, you know, she's very blunt in what she says. I guess I just wanted to say thank you, because I feel like people are put in our lives for a reason. I really, truly feel like you were put there to bring me here. And I just hope that you continue to come to Dream Ride. I think it's kind of ironic that you're retiring 2 days after Dream Ride.
Oh yeah, I talked to Michael about it.
If that was on purpose or not. But I just wanted to say thank you very much, sir. And hopefully you'll be able to come to Australia with us maybe in 2023.
Well, thank you, Robin. Thanks for your kind words, and got to give you a lot of credit for rappelling down a building. But I did talk to Michael. My wife wanted me to retire at the end of July, and I talked to Michael, and I made a decision to wait till after.
I think it was a very good decision, sir. So I thank you for everything.
Thank you so much, Robin. Allie, if you have additional questions and you want to type them in the chat, we'll get to them even if you have to leave. Okay, just wanted to mention that.
Okay, might as well get ready to go. Hey, Beau, it's great.
Well, Allie, just type them in the chat. Like I said, I still want to get to everybody else, or you can email them to me. We'll get your questions answered, okay?
Okay, I just want to say one thing, Beau. Beau, it's been great knowing you all these years. I'm glad you were a great friend, and I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Allie.
You're welcome. Enjoy. I hope to see you soon.
All right, Allie.
Thanks, Allie.
Thank you.
Okay, let's hop over to Natasha.
Okay.
Let's start out with one question or two, Natasha, okay? That'd be great.
Oh, okay. Two I would do. Okay. I have a question for Beau. What date and time for your party this coming June? My folks would like to know the directions. And then the other one is, how did you meet Jordan Chef in the year 2020 benefit? Jordan works for DDS Connecticut.
Well, let me start with what I requested. I think is going to happen is I believe there is going to be a Hartford Yard Goats game where we're working on getting tickets, and that day I would try to find a place where I can greet people, and folks will come to the Yard Goats game, and then you know, if they have the time, come by wherever I am and see me and get pictures taken with each other and things like that. So that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to, there was a date, Debbie, I don't know it might be, oh, it's the 31st of July. So we're working on something on the 31st of July. And some of my staff are in charge of it. I am not. And hopefully we'll be able to do that. As far as Jordan, Commissioner Chef, I knew him when he was deputy commissioner. He's got daughters who do unified sports. Great guy, and he and I very quickly became pretty good friends. The first time we met. So we've done a lot of things together, and socially. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be talking to him tomorrow at 3:00.
Excellent. Thank you, Natasha. Let's hop
Yeah,
over
thanks,
to
Natasha.
Ashley LeBeau next.
Ashley LeBeau.
Hey.
Hi, Ashley.
So I just want to say thank you for being a part of my life and my family's life. Without you, we all wouldn't be able to do what we have accomplished in life with Golden Messenger and Special Olympics. So I wanted to ask you, what was one thing in your life that you did through Special Olympics that was the most exciting thing that you have ever done in your life?
Well, there's been so many amazing things, but I remember when I went to the World Games in Ireland, there was a part of the opening ceremonies where, I do a lot, like I've read Irish history forever, and I had no idea what they were going to do there. And we were in Crow Park, and I think there were 100,000 people there at the opening. So if you can imagine how big that was. And it was the summer solstice. So it was the 21st of June, the longest day of the year. We're in Ireland, in the 3,000 years ago, even up to 100 years ago, they always did different rituals because that was the longest day of the year. At any rate, and I can't describe this really well, but they did something up on the stage where people came out of all the different exits and entrances and moved their way down, doing these ritualistic dances all the way to the stage where the sun came up. And with probably 200 drummers, like with big drums going boom, 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 boom. Wow. I was like, you can't be serious. I'm at a Special Olympics event. These guys are like trying to help everybody in the stadium understand the culture of Ireland. And to me, that's just a big memory. There were all sorts of great things that happened in the Special Olympics. I saw a bunch of different events. I was with Mrs. Shriver for a while. They were all great things, but boy, I'll tell you what, there was something about that part of the ceremony that really got to me.
Thank you, Beau. That's great. Let's hop over to Abby. Go ahead, Abby. Why don't you ask your question? Oh, and Albert and Aaron.
Abby.
He's making me cry right now. Sorry.
Oh, Megan.
I just wanted to say, Beau, thank you for everything.
Oh,
and I want to know what your favorite Special Olympics memory is.
All right. So I'm going to say, again, there's a lot of memories, but I'll throw out another memory. Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who founded the organization, a lot of people, like when they remember her, they only remember her they saw her at a distance, they said 2 words to her, or they worked with her on a sport. I was very lucky to be socially know her. And I have, I don't know, probably say 25 years gone down a Hyannisport down the Cape. And when she was living, we would talk socially about things. And I remember talking to her very specifically as an example about her brother, Joe, her oldest brother, who was supposed to be who everybody thought was going to be the president of the United States, who died in World War II. And then his younger brother, John, became the president, President John F. Kennedy. But I remember being able to talk to her about what was the difference between the two of them, and a lot of people who know about Special Olympics or like American history would love to have heard that. And I will tell you that, is a great memory of mine because of Special Olympics. She and I got a chance to talk socially about things that other people didn't have a chance to talk about.
You'll miss me going over the edge this year.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a good one.
Thanks for
Hey,
doing
Beau.
that, Abby.
So guess what I'm
Now,
doing?
are you gonna be at the awards dinner?
Yes,
Oh, good. You'll get to hear me speak.
I know. I saw you've got a big role.
Hey,
Excellent.
you know what
Thanks, Abby. All right, hold on. We're going to go with people with their hands up, I think, next. I know Aaron's been waiting for a while. Let's hop over to Aaron. I'm going to try to get to everybody, so hold on tight, you guys. I see all
Oh
your
boy,
hands.
I'm in trouble now.
Mine's in the chat too.
Go ahead, Aaron. Okay, Megan.
No, you're not. You're not in trouble. Don't worry. Don't worry. No, I just want to say to you, I just want to say thank you for letting us be as global messengers and being as a friend, a father, a brother, and everything else that you've done for us. And you made us so proud of who we are and what we accomplished, though, because I tell you, with the Shriver family and yourself, that you guys put heads together and made Special Olympics happen. And I just want to say that to you and everything else. So, and I also want to say congratulations to you as a grandfather, because I'm gonna tell you, your grandson is gonna grow up and he's gonna realize that what you did for Special Olympics, he's gonna realize exactly that he wants to join and help us. I guarantee you that.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you
Aaron,
very much.
Nice.
Like I said, we love you so much. I know Debbie Horn would have took over your spot and everything else. So I mean, yes, I would give her a lot of love because I've seen her at a lot of sports activities and everything else. So because I know sometimes we get along and everything else. So, but then like I said, there's a lot of things you've done for us, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people are gonna be putting in your footsteps by making Special Olympics better. And we want to make Special Olympics better and from now until beyond.
Aaron, that is really beautiful because so I have great news for you really quickly. I sent forward Debbie a big, huge presentation all about Eunice and you. You'll be thrilled of seeing that in your own time, okay?
Oh.
I will be sure to send it to Beau, and I'm going to send it to everybody. Natasha did a nice presentation. I want everybody to be able to see that. Okay, we're going to hop over to Albert next. Go ahead, Albert, with your question.
Albert.
Hi, Beau. How are you, sir? It looks like you're in a nice place. What has been your most what has been your most awesome experience with Special Olympics?
Oh boy, you guys are really pushing me hard. So I'm gonna tell you another one. But it's not gonna make sense to any of you, maybe, but it's something that, like, when I think, it's really hard when you've been doing something for so long to think about what one memory, because everything's together. And I haven't really, I need to do this. I need to sit down and really think through, like, maybe what are the top 10 memories? But one memory that I have that really got to me is I was with the president of University of Hartford, Walt Harrison, and there was a only 15 meter, might have been 30 meter, I think it was 15 meter assisted swim. And it was athletes who had severe challenges. They had severe challenges. It was not easy for these athletes to go 15 meters at all. And I sat there with Walt Harrison, who had never seen Special Olympics before. I didn't bring him to watch the 50 meter dash or the 100 meter. I brought him to see the 15 meter swim. And it took these athletes a long, long time to finish. And I almost had to walk away. And so did he. It was very emotional because it was really hard for them to do that. And so with all this mishmash of all these things that come to mind, you know, or I could really think through, that's another memory to me that really inspired me and made me understand like what I can do as a human being to make a positive change for other people by understanding that this organization isn't for only people who can run marathons or can run 100 meters, faster than most people. It's about people who have severe challenges as well. And I always had to keep that in sight of, and sometimes you got to remind staff, or other volunteers about that as well, or even other CEOs, by the way.
Great. Thank you, Beau. Thank you for that answer. We're going to hop over to Justin Riker. Go ahead, Justin, unmute yourself and go ahead with your question.
Sorry.
You there, my friend? Justin, where are you? Justin Riker. Yep, I think you're still muted. There you go. There you go.
Here we go. Hey, Beau, how you doing?
Hey, Justin. How are things?
Good.
Good.
I have a couple of questions. The first question is, one of my Special Olympics partners, very well, is Nikki Mordekaievich.
Yeah.
Who does a lot of penguin plunges. And my first question to you is, as you know, like a couple years ago, she did one of those super penguin plunges.
Yeah.
What kind of impact did that have on you?
Well, I saw her do it this year again. And it had a big impact because I had never seen that before. And just for all of you who don't know what a super plunge is, it would be, it'd be like taking Stanley, who I see his hands up, and Stanley would jump in the ocean. And then an hour later, he would jump in the ocean. And then an hour later, he would jump in the ocean. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, he would jump in the ocean. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, he would jump in the ocean. And he would do that 24 hours. So these people got people to give them money for Special Olympics with the thought in mind that they would jump in the ocean in a 24-hour period every hour. And so what did it do for me? It made me think, what an amazing volunteer she was and everyone who did that. Now listen, there's incredible volunteers. We all know them. We have partners, maybe. You got coaches, you got your local coordinators, you got all that. But sometimes people go way above and beyond. And that's an example of somebody doing that. And to me, she's a very special person for a lot of reasons, but that really cemented it for me.
Thanks.
All right.
So, you had another one. Go ahead, Justin. One more.
Then I have one more.
Yeah.
That program with the Special Olympics and the CIAC have?
Yes.
Like the schools?
Yes.
Once you guys started the program, did you ever think in your wildest imagination that would spread so fast?
So when we started it, actually the answer is yes, I did. Not as fast. So I would say that, was I shocked that it went beyond Connecticut's borders? No. but I was shocked at how it took off in Connecticut a little bit. It only took a few years before we really started to make a big indent into the high schools. But that program that we did, so let's say over a 10-year period, it really reached a great zenith with at least 95% of the high schools. Now it's about 85 middle schools and about 70 something elementary schools. But the most important thing to note about that, for those who don't know that program well, it's in every state now. So my friends at the international office with Unified Champion Schools, they saw how well it worked with youth. And Tim Shriver, who's a big inclusionist, the chairman of Special Olympics, used his political connections to get a huge grant from the Department of Education. And that grant has been used to replicate what we started in Connecticut 30 years ago with young kids, to do that in every single state. And that is now is what's happening. So, listen, I never thought unified sports would be have 1.8 million people in it. I never thought unified sports would be in 180 countries. I don't think I thought maybe that the school stuff would be in every state. But what happens is, if you have a good idea, other people take it and they make it happen. They're the ones that really say, this idea is phenomenal. And in Oklahoma, I'm going to make this thing work. And there were just a lot of really solid people out there that were sick of the old model of segregated models and wanted to do more inclusionary stuff. And that's why it all worked.
Great, thank you for that answer. I just want to share that Megan wrote, I will miss you so much, and you've been a good friend to me. So I just want to pop that in because Megan.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Megan.
And we're going to go over to Stanley because Beau noticed your hand's been up there. So Stanley, why don't you unmute and ask your question? Go ahead. Go ahead, Stanley. You can unmute yourself. Are you there?
Stanley's frozen.
Oh, all right. We'll come back to Stanley. Kimberly, why don't you go next?
I just want to say thank you all for everything that you've been doing for us. And I just want to say thank you for letting me be part of the board of directors. That's left me an opportunity, and I really appreciate doing that with you. And it's really nice that you incorporate other people without disabilities. Like, for example, my brothers having them to be part of Special Olympics. That's really, I really enjoy that. And not just get everything for Special Olympics, but you'll definitely be missed. But I still remember the 2014 games that I did in Princeton, New Jersey, and just meeting new people and seeing you at our competitions is really something that we all enjoy. And just want to say thank you for being there with us, and it's really meant a lot to us. I was just want to say thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Kimberly. And listen, I was all for you being on the board, but in fairness to you, and I think your fellow global messengers need to know this. You put you raised your hand to be on the board. Let's start with that. So you were willing to say that you wanted to be on the board. Then above and beyond that, you had to be interviewed by the board. And the board, it was more than like me saying Kimberly should be on the board. It was the board had to vote. So you on your own put forth an effort and went through an interview process and became a board member. And that's a credit to you more than it is to me. So, and I'm just glad you're on the board.
Thank you, and I really enjoyed the opportunity, and seeing you in person at Jersey Mike was really it lightened up my day a lot.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Nicely said, Kimberly. Thank you for that. Let's hop over to Ashley Lagoy. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hello, how you doing? Well,
Ashley, how are you?
For you. You saw me at Foxwood. And I said hi to you. On Sunday. I have a question. So I broke the world record shot put for women's at Special Olympics in 2019. And I didn't go to the World Games or anything. Why not?
Oh, wow.
So, did you just say that you broke the record for Special Olympics in the shot put?
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
So here's what I know happens. I believe this is the correct info. When somebody gets a gold medal, whether they're in Division 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever division that is, they tell us we would like to go to the World Games or we'd like to go to the USA Games. If somebody's in Division 3 and they get a gold medal, we look at that as good as somebody in Division 1 who got a gold medal. So we put all those gold medal names in a hat, and then we pick the name out of the hat. Whoever we pick the name from out of the hat is the person has first right of refusal to go to the games. So that's how we handle that.
Okay, but
It's not always the fastest person in the marathon. It's we're all about ability divisions, and so we always go to the ability divisions, and we pick the gold medalists from every single division. If people say that they would like to move on to a U.S. or World Games.
Excuse me, my mom has to say something.
You bet.
Hi, Beau. How are you? Yeah, so when I guess the Jeff, who was at the time with the Special Olympics in charge of that, we were told that it was because of her age. She wasn't allowed to move on and go to, further herself to compete.
How long ago was that? Just out of curiosity.
About 2019.
2019.
COVID.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right to me. But we do sometimes the USA, you know what? Sometimes World Games or sometimes USA Games put age limits on certain sports. They do that on occasion. I would have to go back, and Debbie, you can help me with this because I want to find out the answer.
Yeah.
We'll go back and we'll find out the real answer on this, if that's what. And who told your daughter that? Who was the person?
My mom went to go see my nephew. It was my coach Jeff and my coach Rich.
She's with West Hartford, Beau.
Okay, we'll find out.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jenny and Ashley. All right, we're gonna hop over to Dan Whiting next. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, thank you. Thanks to you, we could work with our police and torch ones and tip of cops. And thank you.
Hey, listen, Dan, thank you for saying that, but let me tell you something about you. One of the great things about you is that you've been a great volunteer as well. So you're thanking me a little bit, and a lot of you, are athletes and you do the sports, and that's great, but some of you volunteer and go above and beyond and do different things. And Dan, ever since I've known you, you've shown up and thanked people and shown your appreciation, gotten in pictures with different people to help raise money and awareness. So thank you for saying what you said, but I appreciate the fact that you've been a great volunteer.
And Beau, I want to tell you, we love you. And I love you like a father to me. And we always miss you, our hearts.
Don't make me cry. None of you make me cry. You're all going to be in trouble.
Thank you, Dan. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, we're
Thank
going to
you.
go over to Ryan Pajoli. Go ahead, Ryan. We only have a few more minutes, so I'm going to try to squeeze in everybody. Come on, Ryan. Go ahead.
Ryan, the mayor.
Yes. Hi, Beau. Thank you. You're a very good person. You're a good man. And I do have a question.
All right, Ryan. Go for it.
Okay. What is your granddaughter's name is?
Her name is Dana Jane. Dana is the name of my sister-in-law who passed away. My daughter, it was her favorite aunt. So Dana is the first name, and Jane is the name of my mother-in-law who passed away. And my daughter Julia loved her aunt Dana, and she loved her grandmother Jane, and that's why she called her Dana Jane.
Yeah, and my greatest moment is you call me Senator Ryan.
Yeah, well, you are. You're either the mayor or the senator, depending on what.
Right. Yes. And last thing, I just want to thank you and Deb for setting this up. Thank you. And Beau, enjoy retirement. You are the man that made Special Olympics history.
Thanks, Ryan. And by the way, some of you guys who I've known for a long time, you might hear from me after I retire. Maybe I'll bring you to a movie or dinner or something like that. So don't think that once I retire, some of you may not hear from me, particularly the ones that I've known for a long time.
Thank you for that, Ryan. Great.
Stanley has his hand up, Deb, and he's.
Oh, all right, get him. I'm sorry, Stanley. Let's go over to Stanley. Unmute yourself there.
Got to unmute yourself, Stan. Yeah, he's still muted.
Yeah, I can't unmute him, Yesta. Let's see.
Deb, I have one last thing.
Okay, I'm gonna have, but I know not everybody got to ask a question yet, so let's go to Alicia because she hasn't asked a
And by the way,
question yet.
Debbie, I will stay longer if I have to.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Great. I know I was trying to wrap it up by 5. So if anybody needs to leave at 5, that's okay, but we'll stay on to get to everybody's questions. Great. Thank you, Beau. How gracious.
Can I ask one yet? Can I ask one yet?
Go ahead, Alicia. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Alicia.
Debbie, then I go too?
After Alicia, Logan.
Yeah, I'm going to stay. So anybody who has a question or wants to say something, I'm not going to leave till you're done doing that.
Okay. Well, thank you thank you for being thank you. I'm a professor of the Britain of the police department. Thank you for that. What you gonna do when you retire? And my dad is so my dad will miss you because you have a lot of basa.
Well, you can tell your parents I'll be coming over there trying to get kielbasa, sneaking a little kielbasa when I can, because I know your family knows all the hot spots to get the good stuff.
They
So.
did because my dad had this friend who makes them, and it's like, oh, messed up. But I'm afraid to look like this because I just got my tooth pulled out this morning.
Yeah, so she had her tooth pulled out and she's still here. Pretty cool, right?
Oh, really? Oh, Lord.
Yeah. This morning it's laying back.
All right, you're tough.
So I feel fine.
Okay, good. Great.
Glad you're here. Okay, Logan, go ahead next with your question.
Oh, okay. Beau, Doherty.
Hi, Logan.
I am gonna miss you so much, and Special Olympics means the world to me, and I love doing Special Olympics. And this weekend, I'm doing the penguin plunge in Boston.
Where are you? Where are you doing it?
In Darwin.
Your
match is Holland. This weekend.
That's great. That's awesome. You're tough. You are tough.
And I'm going to Jersey Mike's tomorrow.
Smart move.
The one in Nashville.
Thank you for doing that, though.
And I raised over a grant already, Debbie.
You're doing a great job.
I don't know what time I have to be there on Saturday. Do you know?
I will let you know. I promise you, Logan. I'll shoot you an email. Stay tuned.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. That was awesome. James, let's go over to James. What's your question? I think you're on mute or we can't hear you.
He got his headphones on, but then I don't think they're. I don't know if it's
Yeah, he's not on mute. Okay, let's see. And Stanley, if you can unmute yourself too, get ready. We'll go to you next. James? Yeah. Okay, I'm asking to unmute Stanley. See, does anybody else have a question while we're waiting on these guys?
Thank you for choosing me as a new brand police department. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great, no problem.
How about John Woods? Let's go over to John.
Stanley is unmuted.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Stanley, go for it. What's your question?
Beau. So many memories. You did a lot of special effects. That was great. And how you get into the special effects?
That's a really good question. It was, I ended up, I was actually going into a fisheries job up in Maine, and I went to a school where everybody was a park ranger or a conservation officer, and I ended up being recruited by this big state institution called Paul Dever State School, and they brought me in and they said, "Hey, listen, you're a junior in college, but we're going to give you all this money to do outdoor recreation and program for the first time." And I decided I changed. I didn't even go up to Maine. I called them up. I said, "I'm staying here and I'm doing this." And they said, Stanley, they said, "Listen, and by the way, you're in charge of Special Olympics." And I didn't know what it was. They said, "But every Tuesday, you got to come here and all these people are going to show up and you're going to have students from Northeastern University, you're going to have students from Bridgewater State College, and you're going to train these athletes for the upcoming games." And so I did that. And to make a very long story short, after a number of years of being like the head coach at Dever or a training, the Department of Developmental Services sent me 1 day a week to Special Olympics headquarters to change the way coaches were trained.
Are you gonna pay me that amount? And you think
So,
he's gonna pay me? You don't
in
ask what time I get
1982,
done
they
with
asked me to
work.
be full-time. So I ended up, working for them full-time in 1982. They kept coming after me saying, "Hey, we'd like you to not work for the Department of Developmental Services, but to work for us full-time." And that's what happened.
Great question, Stanley. Thank you for that. James, do you want to try again? What's your question? See if we could hear you this time. Well, we still can't hear you, James. Do you want to try typing it in the chat box? Maybe that would work. We can't hear you for some reason. I'm really sorry. Try typing your question in the chat box if you could. All right, we'll come back to you again, I promise. We'll try again. All right, let's go to John Woods. And I see Megan has her hand up, so let's go to John next.
Big John.
Hey, how's it going, Beau?
Good, John.
I got one quick question for you.
Yep.
When you heard the games were coming to New Haven, Connecticut, back in 1995, what was your first impression?
I was scared to death.
Never.
It was Tim Shriver and Peter Wheeler, went and did that, and we didn't know that they were doing that. So they put in a bid for the World Games and they got it. And I knew enough to know that that was going to mean a lot for us moving ahead, because running World Games is like summer games on steroids, and it's very complicated. And not only is it complicated to run an event for, at that time, 140 countries, you've got to keep the Special Olympics Connecticut program going while that's happening. And we're not a huge state. So when I first heard it, John, I was a little bit scared, and I wasn't completely happy, to be perfectly blunt. As time went on, you know, I toughened up about it, you know, worked very hard to get through it. When the games were over, it took me about 6 months to get over them. And eventually, you know, it started to dawn on me that we were a much better program when the games were over than had we not done that. So in the long run, John, it was a really good thing to do, but it was not easy to do. I guarantee you that.
The reason why I asked that, and I'll be pretty quick. I was at that point in time, I was in the Super program,
Right.
which was Special Olympic outreach, official civil outreach. And I was, Teresa McSparron and myself were tennis officials.
Yeah, I remember. I remember you doing that. That was a big part of the games. They were trying to find athletes who could be officials. And I know that wasn't easy for you because you had to take a bunch of tests,
Right.
you know, and they weren't easy tests, and yet you did it and you were a real bona fide official. That was a big thing, you know, good for you.
Oh, I didn't know that about you, John. That's awesome. Really
So,
awesome.
so I just wanted to say, you know, as all the rest of the global messengers, you know, we are sincerely going to miss you, and all the best with you and your family and your endeavors, you know, as you leave us this summer. So, you know, we'll keep you in our prayers, and as Bob Hope would say, thank you for the memories.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much for that. And definitely those prayers will help. Thank you.
Megan, you had your hand up. Do you want to go next?
So I remember way back, Beau, at the Hall of Fame dinner, you always be close to me every single time. And I still have that picture of you and me together way back to the Hall of Fame dinner. So I'm thinking about giving it to you as a gift, if I can.
Well, if you give it to me as a gift, make sure you keep a copy for yourself, because I would feel.
I have a copy. I'll give it to Debbie, and Debbie can print it out for me, and she can give it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love that. That would be.
Because you know me, I'm very sad. So you are a great person to me, and all the good misses are here today. I'm proud of you, and I'm going to miss you a lot. And Christy, you're there. She's crying right now, and I'm crying. Everyone's miss you.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah.
And
And stay healthy.
Sorry.
It's getting pretty emotional. I don't know, Beau, are you ready to wrap it up, or do you want to keep going?
If people are ready to wrap up,
gonna miss you
let's
too
wrap up.
when you retire.
All right, I do see a couple more hands up, so let's see. Well, Brittany said she was having some technical issues, but she definitely wanted me to tell you good luck with your retirement, and she's going to miss you. So that's from Britt.
Me too. But I will see you at the dinner
Me
though,
too.
Wednesday night.
I see two more hands up. I guess we can maybe.
Into the night.
Oh, we see. All right, Jen Carlson. We haven't heard from you yet. Go ahead, Jen.
Hi, Beau.
Hey, Jen.
I'm really gonna miss you.
Well, Jen, the
I
good news.
don't think our
for me and you is-
organization's gonna be the same without you.
Never.
Agree, Jen.
I think is gonna succeed you as president and CEO of Special Olympics Connecticut.
Thank you for saying that, Jen. But here's the good news for everybody to remember. We've got really good staff, like Debbie Horn, and we've got a really good board of directors. We've got money in the bank. We've got a good foundation, and you know, and things will move. And we got all of you, you know, and you're athlete leaders, and it's your job. Listen, you want to be an athlete leader. You want to be like, instead of like having a great name, doing something. Then when things are working well, you tell people they are. And when things are not working well, you say something. That's what a leader is. Leaders not always, I don't always tell the international office. I tell them when they're doing something really good. I also tell them when I think they're doing something really dumb. You know, I do. And that's what you gotta do too, is you move forward, you know? A lot of you have been in this since you were kids. And you get all these new volunteers and a lot of people don't have that. They call it institutional knowledge of what the way things were prior to 2019. You remember that. And you've got to advocate for things that you feel are important as far as how the organization should move forward. You got to do that. That's your job.
So excuse me, I gotta jump off. So Beau, I'm going to miss you and I love you.
Thank you, Megan.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Megan.
Take care. James, do you
Goodbye.
want to try again? James, do you want to try again? Go ahead. Oh, we're still having trouble hearing you. Well, you know what? If you email your question, we'll get it answered. Okay, James? We're so glad you're here with us today. We really are. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I'll let you know, James. We'll get an answer.
absolutely. Thanks, Beau. All right, I see two more hands. We've got Natasha and Robin. So go ahead, Natasha, and then we'll go to Robin. I think that's it.
Thank you.
One more.
Okay. I went to the World Winter Games over in Austria. I won 2 gold medals. If I want to gold medals, where do I go next, Beau?
Yeah, they're trying to figure that out. And I know Germany is the next summer games, the winter games, you know what? I honestly don't know off the top of my head. I don't know. I don't know what the next, they got to get somebody to bid. So they need a country to come forward and say, we be willing to do it. And I don't know if anybody's done that yet for the winter games. But the next World Summer Games will be in Berlin, Germany. And I will tell you that Germany has a great program. They're very organized. It's a beautiful country. They have great sports venues. And, you know, anybody who gets to go there, that'll be a great thing.
Awesome. Great question, Natasha. Robin, you're up.
So, Beau, there's truth in my sarcastic comment that I'm about to make. But if you're retiring, that means that there might be a seat on the board, and can I have it?
Yeah, so just so you know,
that is one of my goals.
Yeah.
That is what I was actually just talking to Katie Dennett at Jersey Mike's in Manchester. And by the way, rumor has it I get to see you on Tuesday. But one of my goals is to be on the Special Olympics board.
Okay.
So there is truth in my sarcastic comment to you.
Yeah. So just so you know,
yes, sir.
The CEO is a non-voting member of the board. So I don't get to vote. Like I don't
But
get.
if you're retired, you're no longer the CEO.
Right. But my board, so the board has, just so you all know, the board has 35 slots. I think there's 30 right now on it. So there's 5 more slots. My position is not one of those slots. So there's probably 5 more slots of the board. The board also has a bylaw that 2 athletes are always on the board, 2 athletes. And right now we have 2 athletes on the board. So you need to wait till they rotate off, which I think is in a few years, 2 years.
So there can only be 2 athletes at a time. There can't be more.
Right. Well, you know what? I'm not gonna say yes to that. I think the answer is yes in terms of the bylaws, but that might, I'd have to go look, Robin. And you know what? We will. Debbie will help me, and we'll find out the answer to that. All right.
All right. Because that's definitely.
I know we have to have 2 athletes.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can find out by Tuesday, and I'll see you in Simsbury. Or Wednesday. I'm sorry, not Tuesday, Wednesday.
All right, I think we've got to everybody's questions. Is there anybody that hasn't asked a question yet that would like to? I want to make sure.
You're good.
Stanley, you got another one? Go ahead.
By the way, some of the quiet people, I do want to mention, some people are being quiet, and that's fine, believe me. It sent me some really nice things through Facebook. So you don't need to be saying anything to me today, but a lot of you have sent me some really great best wishes on Facebook, and I really appreciate that.
Excellent. So maybe we should let Beau go get his dinner now. What do you think? I think we should all go get our dinner.
Okay, well, best wishes to you and many more.
We love you, Beau.
Hey, thank you so much. Let me tell you, this has been
We
great.
love you, Beau.
We love you, Paul. Thanks for your service. We love you.
Love you too.
Oh,
miss you so
this
much.
has been our best
Love
session
you, Beau.
yet. Right?
Have
Great
fun
to
in
see you all.
retirement.
Thank you. Have a
Have
nice
fun in
evening.
retirement.
We'll be in touch. We'll be together again, okay? Stay safe, everybody. Have a good night.
I will see you on
Bye.
July 31st.
You
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yes.
Guys, great to see everyone.
Thank you, Debbie.